Your hard work is exactly what is destroying your career. The corporate meritocracy is a terrifying lie designed to keep you bleeding in the dark while lesser talents steal your promotions. Here's the ruthless, unspoken blueprint to shatter the illusion and finally take back your crown. Have you ever felt the cold, sinking realization that your entire life's work is completely invisible? Imagine pouring your soul into a system, believing with every fiber of your being that sheer hard work is the golden key to salvation, only to discover that the game was rigged from the very moment you sat at your desk. You are trading your nights, your weekends, and your peace of mind for a silent promise that the corporate machine never actually intended to keep. You are bleeding in the dark, and nobody even knows your name. If you are ready to shatter the illusions holding you back and learn the ruthless mechanics of true success, hit that subscribe button right now to support the channel so we can continue bringing you these life-changing truths. Vuong Guang YNF02 warmly welcomes you to a profound unraveling of the great corporate lie. Let me share a tragedy that unfolds in glass-walled buildings every single day by telling you about Andre. Andre is the invisible spine of his company. For 4 grueling years, he has sacrificed his personal life, intimately knowing every hidden trapdoor in the database, resolving midnight catastrophes while the executives slept soundly. He is the ultimate workhorse, a man who genuinely believed his dedication was his resume. When a senior management position opened up last month, he did not even formally apply. He assumed his relentless, agonizing labor would speak for itself. It did not. The job went to Kyle. Kyle has barely been there 8 months. He lacks half of Andre's technical genius, but Kyle understands something fundamentally terrifying about the reality of power. Kyle plays golf with the vice president. Kyle crafts immaculate slide decks and ensures his name is brightly illuminated on every successful project. Andre was utterly crushed, his spirit broken by a phantom system he believed was a pure meritocracy. But here is the brutal, unshakable reality you must reprogram your subconscious to accept right now. The corporate world is not a meritocracy. It never was. It is a visibility matrix. If you produce exceptional work in the shadows, you are not a hero. You are simply a machine waiting for its eventual replacement. You must look in the mirror and ask yourself the ultimate, terrifying question of how you are truly being perceived. The statistics are a grim reflection of this nightmare, with a massive portion of workers feeling entirely unseen by the powers above them, suffering in a system perfectly engineered to shear the sheep. The machine extracts maximum labor from the silent majority, while lavishing rewards solely on the vocal minority. To shatter your current ceiling and seize real upward mobility, you must view your survival through a new, unforgiving lens. You are not working one job. You are working 2 parallel jobs simultaneously. The first is your formal job description, that rigid list human resources handed you on day 1. Clearing the inbox, hitting the quotas, filing the reports. Listen to me closely. This does not get you promoted. Fulfilling your job description is merely the baseline ticket to enter the building, the bare minimum to stave off termination. The true arena is the second job, the promotion job. This is the intricate dance of optics, strategic alliances, and perceived value. It demands that you shed the mentality of a mere task doer and adopt the vision of a system architect. A task doer finishes an audit and quietly hopes for a pat on the back. A system architect finishes the identical audit and proudly announces they have streamlined the financial process, mitigating quarterly compliance risks to align with the board's new mandates. It is the exact same sweat and blood, but spoken in an entirely different language of power. If you refuse to master this second job, you are condemning yourself to a lifetime of watching the Kyles of the world become your master. To stop the Kyles of the world from forever dictating your destiny, you must first excise the deeply ingrained poison of traditional humility that keeps you chained to your desk. From the moment we are old enough to sit in a classroom, we are fed a comforting, paralyzing fairy tale designed to manufacture compliant workers rather than empowered leaders. We are taught to keep our heads down, to let our grades and our output speak for themselves, and to trust that authority figures will always recognize and reward inherent virtue. This indoctrination follows us right into the fluorescent glow of the corporate bullpen, where we falsely equate exhaustion with worthiness. We swallow the bitter pill of extra hours, convincing ourselves that self-sacrifice is a noble currency that the invisible scorekeepers in human resources are meticulously tracking. But the universe does not care about your quiet suffering, and the boardroom certainly does not have the bandwidth to investigate the origins of a perfectly executed spreadsheet. This toxic humility breeds a profound psychological block, a terrifying reluctance to advocate for our own brilliance because we desperately fear being labeled as arrogant or opportunistic. We recoil at the thought of self-promotion, treating it as an unsavory, manipulative act beneath our moral standards. But you must brutally separate arrogance from advocacy in your mind. Arrogance is a hollow inflation, the theft of credit for work you never performed and value you never delivered. Advocacy, however, is a fiduciary responsibility to your own survival. It is the act of ensuring that the reality of your contributions is accurately reflected in the minds of those who hold the keys to your future. When you choose to remain silent out of some misplaced sense of honor, you are not taking the high road. You are actively lying by omission. You are allowing the business to fundamentally misunderstand the architecture of its own success, effectively handing a blank check to whoever has the audacity to stand near your finished product when the applause begins. The emotional toll of this silent endurance is devastating, slowly eroding your passion until you are left with nothing but cynical burnout. You watch lesser talents glide upward on the thermals of their own self-aggrandizement, and instead of learning the physics of their flight, you retreat further into the shadows, wrapping yourself in a blanket of righteous resentment. This resentment is a slow-acting venom that will kill your career just as surely as incompetence. You must wake up and realize that hoping to be discovered is the strategy of a victim, not a visionary. The corporate ecosystem is a dense, chaotic jungle of competing narratives, and if you do not fiercely author your own story, someone else will gladly write you in as an expendable background character. Once you abandon the self-sabotaging nobility of silent labor, you must learn to forge your raw, everyday effort into the refined gold of strategic perception. This is the crux of your second job, and it requires a radical shift in the very vocabulary you use to describe your existence between 9 and 5. Most invisible workers operate strictly in the language of inputs. They talk about how many hours they stayed awake, the sheer volume of emails they processed, or the agonizing complexity of the code they wrote. But executive leadership does not speak the language of inputs. They are completely deaf to your sweat. They speak exclusively in the high-stakes dialect of outcomes, focusing relentlessly on revenue generation, risk mitigation, and scalable efficiency. If you want to escape the gravitational pull of the middle management doldrums, you must become a masterful translator. Every time you complete a task, you must pause and interrogate its broader impact on the organization's heartbeat. You did not just reconcile a messy ledger, you recovered lost capital that can now be deployed into quarterly growth initiatives. You did not simply placate an angry client, you preserved a critical revenue stream and fortified the brand's market reputation during a volatile quarter. This is not corporate doublespeak or deceptive spin. This is the alchemy of context. It is the deliberate framing of your daily grind against the massive canvas of the company's ultimate objectives. When you begin communicating your wins in the exact same terms that the executives use in their private board meetings, you cease to be viewed as a mere expense on the balance sheet. You morph into an undeniable asset, a strategic partner who understands the lifeblood of the enterprise. To wield this alchemy effectively, you must strategically orchestrate your visibility without becoming a transparently desperate sycophant. This means mastering the art of the crucial update. Do not bury your triumphs in the middle of a dense, unreadable weekly report that your manager will skim on their phone. Bring your insights to the forefront in cross-departmental meetings. Ask the penetrating questions that prove you are thinking 3 moves ahead of the current crisis. When a project concludes successfully, author the post-mortem analysis, ensuring that the narrative of victory is inextricably linked to your strategic foresight. You must curate your professional persona with the same ruthless precision that a museum curator selects masterpieces for an exhibition. Everything you project, from the tone of your emails to the way you hold space in a conference room, must silently broadcast competence, authority, and irreplaceable value. You are conditioning the environment to associate your very presence with progress and stability. This calculated exposure does not require you to be the loudest voice in the room, but it absolutely demands that when you do speak, your words carry the unmistakable, resonant weight of a leader waiting to be crowned. Yet, speaking the language of power remains a solitary and limited exercise until you build the vital bridges to those who actually wield it. The harsh reality of corporate ascension is that absolute merit and flawless communication are still not enough to break through the final glass ceiling. You need the gravitational pull of true influence. Many ambitious professionals mistakenly exhaust their energy hunting for mentors, collecting senior advisors who will graciously buy them coffee, listen to their struggles, and offer sage advice on how to navigate the company culture. Mentorship is comfortable, but it is ultimately passive. A mentor will talk to you, but a sponsor will talk about you behind closed doors, in the high security rooms where the genuine, life-altering decisions are made. A sponsor is a power broker who spends their own political capital to drag you up the mountain, and securing one is the most critical architectural feat of your entire career. You cannot simply walk up to a vice president and ask them to sponsor you. Sponsorship is not given as a charity. It is forged as an alliance of mutual leverage. Powerful people are drowning in their own immense pressures, constantly scanning the horizon for capable hands to alleviate their burdens. To capture their attention, you must identify the massive, systemic pain points that keep them awake at night and quietly, effectively neutralize them. You make yourself indispensable, not by doing your job well, but by anticipating the strategic voids in their grand design and filling them before a crisis ever materializes. When you consistently deliver frictionless success to someone in power, you inextricably link your upward trajectory to theirs. They will pull you into the inner circle, not out of altruism, but because their continued success relies heavily on your operational brilliance. Once inside this inner circle, you must understand that the official organizational chart is a mere illusion, a paper facade masking the invisible, pulsating network of true authority. The real company operates in the quiet moments before the official meeting begins, in the casual text messages sent after hours, and in the unspoken alliances forged during seemingly innocuous lunches. You must become a meticulous cartographer of this shadow network, mapping out who truly holds influence over whom, regardless of their formal titles. By weaving your strategic visibility into this informal web, you ensure that your name becomes a recurring, positive motif in the conversations that matter most. You are no longer waiting for a formal review cycle to dictate your worth. You are actively cultivating a coalition of powerful advocates who view your promotion not as a favor to you, but as a necessary tactical advantage for the entire enterprise. When you finally secure these powerful alliances and decode the ruthless mechanics of the game, a profound and permanent transformation occurs within your very soul. You strip away the heavy, suffocating armor of the victim, discarding the pathetic narrative that the world is inherently unfair and that your unrecognized genius is a tragic martyrdom. You look back at the Andre you used to be, bleeding out in the dark, begging silently for crumbs of validation, and you feel a startling mixture of deep compassion and fierce, absolute detachment. That version of you had to die so that the architect could be born. This is not about selling out or compromising your core integrity. It is the ultimate act of taking radical, unapologetic ownership of your destiny. You have simply stopped playing checkers on a chessboard and have finally learned how to move the pieces with lethal precision. This emancipation brings a terrifying, exhilarating clarity. You realize that you are not, and never were, a captive employee indentured to a monolithic corporation. You are the sole proprietor of a high-value enterprise, your own career, and you are currently leasing your immense talents to an organization that must continuously earn the right to retain you. Your loyalty is no longer blind, desperate devotion. It is a calculated investment that must yield compounding returns. When you step into the office, you no longer carry the desperate, anxious energy of someone hoping to be chosen. You radiate the dangerous, magnetic calm of someone who already knows their exact market value. If this current environment refuses to recognize the sprawling empire of value you have built, you will not retreat to your cubicle in silent, weeping frustration. You will simply pack up your unparalleled execution, your strategic alchemy, and your network of influence, and you will take your empire to a battlefield that pays you exactly what you are worth. The corporate machine will never love you, and it is a monumental waste of your precious, finite life to bleed for its affection. But the machine can be mastered, navigated, and leveraged to build the life of freedom, impact, and generational wealth that you actually deserve. The shadows where you once hid are gone, burned away by the searing light of your own awakened agency. You are no longer waiting for a savior in human resources, and you are no longer terrified of the Kyles of the world, because you finally possess the blueprint they used to conquer you. The great corporate lie has been entirely unraveled, its gears exposed and its power stripped. The game is no longer rigged against you, because for the first time in your life, you are the one writing the rules. Step out of the dark, claim the space you have bled for, and never let them make you invisible again. In the modern corporate ecosystem, adhering to traditional, quiet humility is a fast track to career stagnation and bitter burnout. The deeply ingrained belief that silent hard work will naturally be noticed and rewarded by upper management is a dangerous fairy tale. It leaves incredibly capable professionals bleeding in the shadows, constantly overshadowed by louder, often less competent peers who are not afraid to claim the spotlight. True career emancipation requires utterly shedding this victim mentality and stepping into the empowering role of a strategic architect. You must learn to translate your daily sweat and inputs into the high-stakes language of outcomes, specifically revenue generation, operational efficiency, and risk mitigation. so that executive leadership instantly recognizes your undeniable value. However, flawless execution and strategic framing are only part of the equation. To truly shatter the final glass ceiling, you must actively map the shadow network of organizational power and cultivate genuine sponsorship. You accomplish this by consistently identifying and solving the massive, systemic pain points of those in charge. A mentor merely offers advice, but a sponsor spends their own political capital to elevate you behind closed doors. Ultimately, you must realize that you are not an indentured servant to a monolithic corporation. You are the CEO of your own high-value career. By weaponizing your visibility, forging powerful alliances based on mutual leverage, and radically owning your professional narrative, you stop waiting to be chosen and finally start dictating your exact market worth. Merit alone is a corporate myth, and silent self-sacrifice is a guaranteed path to being overlooked. The ultimate realization is that the business world does not possess a moral compass designed to reward quiet virtue. It operates entirely on leverage, strategic perception, and measurable outcomes. You are not a powerless employee hoping for validation. You are a business of one, currently leasing your highly valuable skills to an employer. If you do not fiercely author your own narrative and advocate for your brilliance, someone else will happily steal your credit, and your potential will be entirely erased by the machine. Change your professional vocabulary. Stop telling leadership how many hours a task took or how hard you worked. Start framing your updates strictly around the business impact. Explain exactly how your work saved capital, protected a revenue stream, or mitigated a critical risk. Audit and orchestrate your visibility. Stop burying your victories in long, unread emails. Speak up strategically in cross-departmental meetings. When a project succeeds, write the post-mortem analysis to ensure the narrative of that victory is permanently attached to your name. Hunt for a sponsor, not a mentor. Look at the key power players above you. Figure out what massive, systemic operational problems keep them awake at night. Neutralize those problems before they become crises, firmly linking your upward trajectory to their continued success. Adopt the owner's mindset. Walk into your office tomorrow radiating the dangerous, magnetic calm of an independent consultant providing a premium service. Evaluate your employer exactly as they evaluate you. If they refuse to recognize your value, systematically prepare to take your unparalleled execution to a battlefield that will pay you what you are worth. Have you ever had a coworker take the credit for a project that you worked incredibly hard on behind the scenes? Please share your story in the comments section below. I would love to read your perspective, and it is a great way for our community to learn from each other's experiences. If you found this content valuable, please hit that subscribe button to support the channel. It gives me the motivation to keep creating more impactful, high-quality content just for you.